All right, let's get right into it. In this explainer, we're going to dig into one of the biggest questions in Homer's Odyssey, something that comes up again and again for A-level students. What is the deal with the gods? Are they just there to move the plot along, or is there something much more complicated going on? Okay, let's find out. And that brings us to the absolute heart of the matter, the one question that's going to guide our entire discussion today. In the Odyssey, who is really calling the shots? Is it the gods up on Mount Olympus, or do mortals like our man Odysseus actually have any real say in their own fate? So, to figure that out, we're going to build this up just like you would for a top-mark essay. First, we'll look at the evidence for the gods as these, divine puppet masters. Then, we're going to push back on that and explore the power of mortal choice. We'll get into a big debate on divine justice, see what the top scholars have to say, and then we'll pull it all together so you can form your own rock-solid conclusion. Right, let's kick things off with part one of our argument, the divine puppet masters. We're going to start by looking at all the evidence that really seems to suggest the gods are pulling every single string. You see, from the word go, the epic makes it super clear that the gods aren't just sitting on the sidelines. No way. They are these fundamental forces, and they're constantly getting involved in shaping fate, what the Greeks called moira, justice, or dike, and basically the entire moral universe of the story. And if you want proof, just look at Athena. This is a perfect case study. It's kind of mind-blowing when you lay it all out like this. She isn't just giving Odysseus a little nudge here and there. She's like the hands-on project manager for his entire journey home. I mean, she's mentoring his son Telemachus in Book 1, getting Odysseus off Calypso's island in Book 5, dressing him up as a beggar in Book 13, and then, get this, she even shows up in the final battle with her divine shield, the Aegis. It is constant, it is direct, and it is all completely intentional. And it's not just Athena, right? The other big gods have their jobs too. Zeus, he's the big boss, the ultimate enforcer. He's the one sending omens like those eagles and thunder. And he's the one who literally blasts Odysseus' ship to bits as punishment. Then on the flip side, you've got Poseidon. He's the divine bad guy of the story, whose nonstop grudge against Odysseus is this constant reminder of what divine anger looks like. So you've got gods helping and gods hindering, all of them shaping the story. But is that the whole story? I mean, if the gods are doing everything, what's the point of the humans? This brings us to our counterargument. Let's ask the question, do humans have any say at all in their own destiny? Okay, now this next bit is absolute gold for your essays. You need to know this term, double causation. It comes from a scholar named Irene de Jong, and it's such a useful idea. It basically means that responsibility for anything that happens is shared. The gods play their part, for sure, but human choices and actions are happening right alongside them. It's not one or the other, it's both at the same time. And the story of the sun god's cattle is the perfect example of double causation in action. Let's break it down. Step 1, you get a direct divine warning. Circe tells the crew, point blank, do not touch those cows. Step 2, the mortals make a choice. The crew, starving and just not thinking straight, completely ignore her. And step 3, the divine consequence comes crashing down. Helios wants revenge, and Zeus brings the thunder, wiping them all out. See? The gods set the rule, but the mortals chose to break it. That's double causation. So this whole idea of divine rules and punishments, it leads us to a much deeper, more philosophical question, and it's a huge area of academic debate. Are the gods actually acting as moral guardians, or are they just super powerful beings doing whatever they want? Well, on one side of the argument, you have scholars like Charles Segal, and for him, it's pretty clear-cut. He argues that, yes, the gods in the Odyssey are absolutely all about justice. He thinks the epic shows a shift away from a simple eye for an eye kind of revenge towards a more organized system of morality, with Zeus in charge. The final slaughter of the suitors? For Segal, that's Exhibit A of divine justice being served. But, and this is a big but, not everyone agrees with that. Take a look at this comparison. Where Segal sees the gods punishing bad behavior, like hubris, another scholar, Naoko Yamagata, has a very different take. She kind of asks, are they really concerned with human morality? She argues that the gods are just handing out good or bad fortune based on preset fate, that Moira again, not on whether a person was good or bad. So you've got this fascinating clash. Are the gods cosmic judges, or are they just administrators? To really beef up your essays and show you've done the reading, it helps to have a few more critical voices in your back pocket. So let's dive a little deeper with some more academic viewpoints. Here are a few more thinkers you can bring in. Jenny Strauss-Clay really focuses in on Athena, saying she isn't just helping out, she's the central character whose actions literally create the entire structure of the epic. We've already talked about Irene de Jong and her incredibly important idea of double causation. And then there's H. Levy, who makes this really mind-bending point. Because the gods are immortal, they are just fundamentally different from us. They aren't just humans with superpowers. Their whole way of thinking might not make sense in terms of our human morality.
Okay, deep breath. We've looked at divine control, we've looked at mortal choice, and we've waded into the scholarly debates. Now, let's bring it all home. It's time for that final, crucial step, putting it all together to form your own argument.
So after all that, who's in control? Well, the most sophisticated answer, the one that's going to get you the best marks, isn't a simple gods or mortals. It's that it's a complex partnership. You could say the gods set the stage and they write the rules of the game. But it's the choices the mortals make. Odysseus choosing to endure, Telemachus choosing to grow up, the suitors choosing to be arrogant. Those choices are what ultimately decide if the story ends in triumph or tragedy. The key thing is that you now have the framework to build that kind of nuanced argument. So to finish up, here is a real 30-mark exam question to get you thinking. Goddesses and women are the clever ones in the Odyssey, not Odysseus. Explain how far you agree. Think about it. Using what we've just discussed about Athena and her constant scheming, how would you start to tackle that? That's your next step. Good luck.